Drinks with the leaders, it's time to have fun. Business people, lots of ideas. You need some advice, come right here. Drinks with leaders is here.
Oh my gosh, where are you? Where are you, Scott?
Oh, it's my plant from Sheboygan, Wisconsin.
There you are. How are you, Scott? It's already Tuesday. Can you believe that?
I'm so COVID-esque. I don't know what day it is.
Well, you look like you're awfully dressed up for being COVID-esque.
Thank you. I did the Zoom thing where I put water in my hair and threw on a polo, and I'm in shorts and a sandal. You look wonderful, by the way.
I'm in stretch pants. So I'm doing this too. I'm doing the Zoom thing too. In fact, yesterday I went and bought a ton of jewelry, and my daughter's like, why do we have to buy so much new fake costume jewelry? And I'm like, because it looks good on Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I'm really starting to embrace it. I have a funny story I wanted to tell you about my daughter real quick that I thought could pivot us in today. So your kids are probably not old enough for Kid Messenger yet, right? So what it is it's Facebook Messenger that goes through mom and dad's Facebook, but they can talk to their friends, but it has to be approved through mom and dad. So mom and dad can see everything that's sent back and forth. It has to be approved before they can even be added, all of this stuff. So essentially, she's got a couple different friends on Kid Messenger. One of them being Beth Collins from the Business Journal's daughter, right? And so my daughter came to me today and she's like, Mom, can you help me figure out something? And I'm like, what? And she's like, I just feel that my friend Josie and my friend Lizzie would make really good connection together. And I realized doing networking intro connections, but on Messenger you can't message. So she's like, you can't just introduce people. So she's like, how do I introduce them when Messenger won't let me? Because I just feel like it'd be a good match. And I was like, I am so proud of you that at 8 years old you're already networking and thinking, who can I introduce people to? Reminded me of you.
I think it's brilliant.
And with that, I thought we should just one time mention our course out there, learningtonetwork.com, because my 8-year-old has learned it through us. So if you're if you're still trying to figure out how to network, this is how we do it. So, all right.
Segue.
I was going to say, you want to get to the good stuff? Are you going to do music today and I'll do intros?
Well, I was just, as I'm typing up the music here, the interesting thing about your daughter is I was just on the phone with a private equity firm out of Austin, New York, and then a great Kansas City company called Great Range Capital. And so, just by getting people together, you can get people together all throughout the country. And that gave me time to put the music. You ready?
I am so ready. Also, will you let us know if you're watching live and or if you're watching the replay and who you're excited to see. And then one more thing while we're talking about network, we've said this week, so I don't want to forget. Let us know what you do, because what we've learned is that a lot of people have been meeting each other here in the comments, and there might be business out there for you, or if you're open to meeting people, just let us know what you do. So I already see Miss Sheila's jumping on here. So if you need a fabulous business attorney, there you go. So start hitting up the comments so we can say hello, make sure this is a good time, and start to introduce you to people. All right, I'm ready. You got your music ready? Here we go. All right, I'm pulling up, making sure that I'm going to say her name right. Ladies first on deck today, we have Miss Shanita, McAnulty, Bryant. Right? McAnulty, Bryant. There's so many names.
I have a lot of names. Sorry.
It's okay. We roll my hard last names first. Next up, we have McAnulty. Is that correct?
That's close. It's close enough. It's a bad last name. No. It's what they gave me.
You can make a t-shirt out of my last name. All right. Our next guest is Mr. Andrew Brain.
Hey.
And last but not least, his background may look a little familiar, Mr. L.G. Redwood.
Yeah, baby.
Hi, guys. Thank y'all so much for coming on here. We are so excited. What an incredible panel to have today.
Thank you
Start
for
with-
having
Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, for sure. Scott, take it away.
Are we going to go through what we're drinking?
I think it's a good idea. So, Aaron, do you want to ask the first question or do you want me to?
Go ahead, but make sure that they tell you what they're drinking. And I'm still doing the 75-day hard, so I'm on water.
Oh, I like it. So, Shanita, what are you drinking? And give us a story of how you got to Kansas City. And also, you were wearing one of Chase's shirts in a recent magazine article. We'd love to know, secondly, what that article is about and how you were showcasing it.
Okay, I'm with Aaron doing the water. So I have to drink this whole thing today. And I took a break and had coffee, so I'm a little bit behind on my water drinking. I have got to Kansas City by way of birth, been here my whole entire life. So if I had one of those t-shirts, it would say KC/Wyandotte County/Johnson County. That would be my, Wyandotte County/Grandview/Johnson County. So I've been able to kind of live all over the metropolitan area. So been here my whole entire life. I'm a chef, an entrepreneur. I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. So what was the second question? The t-shirt?
I would love the t-shirt and the article that you were just recently in.
So we had a very candid conversation with 3 other Black chefs in this month's issue of INKC magazine. And we discussed like our experiences. What is it like being a chef, specifically a Black chef in Kansas City? I wore that t-shirt because on Fridays I do free produce box giveaways at the Urban League. And so the Urban League is a partner of mine, and I wanted to encourage people to purchase that t-shirt so that they could support the Urban League. I mean, that's basically the Urban League, and my mentorship with Gwen Grant is how I kind of got into the whole like advocacy nonprofit work, was just helping out and serving in different capacities with her organization.
And then another quick question. What are you working on today?
What I'm working on is the Prospect. It's I guess it's a new concept in Kansas City, but it would be like a social enterprise. So we'd be part restaurant, cafe, but mostly we're a culinary training facility, really working in the space of training individuals to be able to make a thriving wage. So we're not training like dishwashers. We're trying to get people culinary ready. And then the second part of that is working with families and other nonprofit organizations with some like food literacy and nutritional health, just kind of helping people understand, you know, that it's hard, but it's easy to live a little bit healthier lifestyle. Uh-oh.
Chase, so a segue into Shanita wearing your shirts. How did you get to Kansas City? And I think people would be living under a rock in Kansas City if they don't know your business. But Aaron has a large national following. So for people listening not in Kansas City, tell us about what you do.
Yeah. So first of all, I'm drinking some Rieger whiskey. Good buddies with Andy over there. So it's never too early to drink Rieger whiskey. But I grew up in South Kansas City, pretty much kind of Overland Park area. My mom was actually a big inspiration of mine. She was one of the first designers at Gear for Sports. So she was heavily involved with sports apparel and stuff like that, and kind of pushed me down that path a little bit. I wanted to get into licensing and sports apparel, sportswear. And we launched a website called Charlie Hustle in, what was that, October of 2012. And the last t-shirt we put out there was this fun little Casey Hart shirt. It was the 16th of number 16 of our designs. And all the other ones were relatively sports related. I don't think they exist anymore, but the one that does is the Casey Hart. We thought it could be a fun civic pride thing. It's got a lot of history in the city. And we kind of took that and ran with it. We had Paul Rudd pop up on national TV during the World Series. There was a lot of a perfect storm of a lot of different events that kind of elevated us to that next level. But Charlie Hustle is a vintage-inspired apparel company. We take kind of inspiration from the past and present. Our motto is "Vintage Made Fresh." So we're trying to look at cool things from the past that we can really bring back, and that also goes in with the T-shirts we make. It's not just that gross 100% cotton that kind of popped up in the 2000s, and we're trying to bring back that soft vintage feel, and it's pretty cool. Here we are 8 years later, and we built a pretty sustainable local regional brand, and sky's the limit at this point.
Aaron, feel free to interrupt me if you want to go to the comments section, but I'm going to jump to Andrew. So Andrew, tell us a little bit about how you got to Kansas City, and then also one thing that we were talking about was an opportunity for someone to move into one of your buildings, and a lot of the businesses that are in your buildings, especially that are connected to the city. So give us your background and then tell us a little bit about some of your tenants.
Well, thanks. So my background is, I've been born and raised in Kansas City, grew up here my whole life, left for college, never thought I'd come back, and here I am back here in Kansas City, but very excited to be back. My 9 to 5, as I call it, is Brain Group. We're a value add asset manager. And then but the most fun for me is running our family office, because as you talked about, some of the cool properties that we've been involved with are Westport Commons, which is the old middle school and high school in Westport, 16-acre campus we're redeveloping here. And part of that family office, we also invested in businesses, and PlexSpot has been one of the businesses we've invested in, and that I spent a lot of time with them. It's my favorite. It's so cool to see all these startups and companies that Kansas City is birthing just constantly. And, my wife's from Dallas, Texas, so I talked a big game. But, it's amazing to see a small little town like Kansas City doing all these cool things. And other thing I'm involved with is Midwest Innocence Project, which segue back to Charlie Hustle. You guys did a hell of a shirt for us. So I'm not wearing it, unfortunately, but wanted to say thanks for that, because it really was a big hit. You guys,
yeah, come on, man.
I'm sorry. No, I forgot to mention what I'm drinking. I had the bottle with me.
Oh,
Not Rieger. I'm a restless guy. So
we all have different investments and different great whiskeys, and I would challenge Ezzy how he could tie it back to Charlie Hustle, but I know he can. So Ezzy, congratulations on a lot of recent big wins, personally and professionally. But give us a little day in the life of Ezzy Redwood, and how'd you get to Kansas City?
Yeah, so actually I grew up in Little Rock in Los Angeles, and went to college in around Boston area. And I was actually in Pittsburgh or Cleveland when the company I was working for got acquired. And, I had an older brother here, and he was like, "Hey, you should come down for a visit." I was like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm from Little Rock. I have no room to talk." Right. But he finally convinced me, and I just stayed. Literally, I still have 3 suitcases in Boston, 10 years later that I just left. But yeah, no, unfortunately I came here, involved in a few different industries, investment finance, ran innovation for an investment bank, did youth leadership development in Central Europe, almost didn't come back, realized I loved it. And, throughout all of the international diplomacy fellowships, I still felt like Kansas City was a great place to build something. And so ended up back here. We started, some family and I started something called Wings Cafe. It started a tech company. And then most recently, we had started something called LV8, which is working on hard projects. And Lillian James actually came and acquired us this past December. And so that's been really exciting, just because it's been an opportunity to leverage, and I think we're now releasing this, but leveraging really amazing, super talented creatives and kind of changing the marketing world or marketing format. So everything's pretty transparent. And yeah, we're just making like the top tier creatives available, and people can like have access to them and to connecting with their customers in different fun ways that they wouldn't normally have, or they would normally not be able to afford.
Aaron, how do you want to handle? Do you want us to go to the comments, or do you want to ask the next question about a recent win or success?
Well, sorry, I was so into what Ezzy was saying. I was like, that sounds like a great place to work.
Yes. Well, I mean, we were going to make jokes all the time about having great partners and great places to work, but I think everyone knows you guys work together.
So I do think that we haven't said, I'm not even sure we covered it last week because it was your birthday, but congratulations to both Scott and Ezzy, who were just named Next Gen Class for 2020. So pretty exciting. Okay, so yeah, I just wanted to make sure in the comments, because if you're just jumping on now, you're probably like, why is everybody saying what they do? But I'm already seeing people connect. So if you're watching, get over here in the comments and let people know what you're doing. And if you're looking for some sort of service or somebody, right? I saw someone already say they were looking for an IT company, and then somebody else was like, I do IT. So make sure you hit up these comments. And then if you have questions for this panel, we're going to ask questions a little bit. But we've got everybody. We've got former guests on here. So cheers to all of you. This guy wants to be your intern, Scott.
He's probably Chappie's one of the most well-known people in all of Kansas, the state of Kansas.
Oh, the whole state of Kansas. Well,
yeah.
Let's get his intern. Let's get him here. And then Emerson is hardcore representing Gen Z, and I always love to see when Gen Z is going hard on LinkedIn. So let's talk about, we're still in the midst, I thought we'd be over this conversation by now, but we are still in the midst of COVID or pandemic, or I still don't even know what we've all decided to call it collectively. I'm going with COVID. But in the midst of COVID, we see a lot of bad news, and we don't get to hear about all the wins that are still happening. Even if they're small wins, there's still wins happening. So let's talk about everybody's wins. Shanita and I, in all transparency, sit on Junior League together, and we've got to do a lot of stuff this year together. So I know a lot of our wins, so I'm excited for you to tell everybody else.
I think the main thing is being able with the prospect to partner with Canby and Liberty Fruit Company and doing our free produce boxes. I think that for the last few months, we've been doing, at one point I was doing 600 a week, 300 in Kansas City, Kansas, and 300 in Kansas City, Missouri. And so that to me has kind of gotten me through. It's nothing like ending your week giving to people and having people, be so gracious and so appreciative. Then it just kind of helps all of the, can you curse on this show?
No, LinkedIn, it's against the rules.
Okay, all of the bad things that have happened throughout the week go away, because I heard that one bad word quite a bit. So I was trying not to say it just then. So that's been really good. That's been really good for me, and I've really enjoyed that. And it helps me get out too, because I do have my little one here. So I've been trying to be pretty careful about like where I go and what I do, just because she's only 6 and you can't be too careful.
I want to jump in here, and I'm not supposed to talk because I'm the interviewer, but I just want to put this out there. When you're doing the right things line up. And Shanita and I saw this happen last week. We actually went to dinner for the first time during COVID, and we were talking about it. Somebody overheard us talking about what she does and came over and got her information and wants to invest in her nonprofit.
That was really nice.
Wild, right? So
yes.
When you're doing those right things, they all match up. Like, it was so wild, like legit big time investor once we went and, checked them out. Like, once we stopped the situation afterwards, like totally legit. And it was just like one of those things. So like, I just know she's been grinding, and it's been so impressive to see it all kind of come full circle. What about you, Chase? I feel like I'm seeing more of y'all than ever. So tell us about your wins.
Oh.
Yeah, you're on mute, Chase.
There we go. Gosh, the old mute button. It's like the most popular thing right now, I feel like. But no, 2020 has been a crazy year for everybody. There's no doubt. I think, we sat in a room in March and tried to figure out, what are we going to do? We had our manufacturer was kind of they're in LA, so they were shut down. a lot of our resources were shut down. So we came up with a lot of different projects that we could do. We donated 40,000 meals to harvesters through kind of a COVID T-shirt collection, which was awesome. We had one of our designers come up with like an art sheet for kids, so parents at home could kind of throw that at them and put them to work a little bit. And all that went back to our foundation, the Heart of KC Foundation. And then masks. We found a supply chain to handle masks. We've produced over 250,000 masks at this point. There we go.
My 13-year-old says they're the only masks that are comfortable, Mom.
I love it. Well, and we've luckily been able to, those white masks that you see there, we've been able to donate over 70,000 of those back to the community through a kind of a one-to-one campaign. And now we just kind of saddled up and we came out with different colors, and we're in the mask business. So it's been great. All the mask orders go back to the Heart of KC Foundation as well. So we're able to keep the lights on and also support the community. And I think that's what it's all about right now. If brands aren't thinking that way, then it's really about we're all in this together, and we kind of found our path. So that was our win.
Yeah, I saw those. You guys were quick to the mask game, and the mask game has become an accessory game too, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I need you guys to do kid sizes.
What's that?
You need kid sizes.
So we just launched kids about 3 weeks ago. You just got to come by.
I gotta get it. My daughter, I tried to put this on her little face. Like creative time. We're doing a lot.
Yeah. Well, something cool we did with the kids masks. We had 20 different color palettes. We lined them up in kind of 4 different looks. So we kind of created all these random colorways in this kids mask to kind of promote diversity. And I think it was just a real fun way to, have something colorful for kids, but also have kind of a bigger meaning. And we partnered with the Fox for Love Fund to give back to the KC Public Schools. So we helped 40,000 kids. I don't know, if we're getting back to school or not. I think some of them are opening here after Labor Day, but help 40,000 kids get back to school with some masks. So like you said, that stuff feels good. It's important, and it always comes back to you. So it's really about the community, and we're happy to be a part of it. They've been a big part of us. So I'll leave it. I feel like the whiskey's already making me slur. Like what the? It's been a while.
That's the fun part of this show. Andrew, what have your wins been during COVID? Andrew, it's like the official quote.
There we go.
2020.
I was just laughing to myself that Aaron did it. I was like, I'm not going to do that. No, it's been good and bad. It's been interesting. Real estate, we're looking for deals. So, prices have been coming down, so it'd be good. But the tough part has been working with tenants. We were actually amazed to find a half dozen tenants, at least, if not more. I can't remember the final number, that got denied by their banks for PPP loans because they didn't have a relationship with them. We spend so much time talking with banks. We've got so many deep connections there. We said, call us, and we end up getting them PPP loans and stuff like that. So that was a big win for me. It means local banking matters so much. And so we're so big, well, I'm not going to go through the list of them. Every local bank we've got a relationship with. The other cool thing has been work with MIP. We got wrongfully convicted people sitting in prison that don't belong there. And COVID has been an excuse for us to say, hey, you're letting people out. At least let these people who don't even belong there in the first place out, and trying to get them out. So that's, I'm trying to find the silver lining to this terribly unfortunate situation. So I'd say those are 2 kind of wins lately that have been keeping us going. So
those are both pretty big wins, sir.
Yeah. Nothing like Charlie Hustle with the 40,000 kids. I wish I could say a number like that.
70,000. I like your wins too. I think they're all good wins. How about you, Ezzy?
Yeah, first thing first, I'd like to note that this platform adds some pounds to us, so we all look better in real life. Just for anyone watching, just so you know. So
100%.
yeah, by I know I look better in real life by at least 10%. So uh, or 1 point, depending on if you use the 1 to 10 or the 100% metrics. Uh, but yeah, to Brian's point, the state of Missouri actually has as high as 8% wrongfully convicted persons in prison. And if you think about that, that's a really insane number. That means 8 out of every 100 people that's in prison right now does not deserve to be there. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a really big deal. Yeah, I'd say for me, one of the wins is so I'd say 2 wins. One, Gilda's Club Kansas City. Uh, they have been able to successfully make a transition to virtual support. So for anyone not familiar, Gilda's Club Kansas City, they're basically the largest cancer family support organization in the city. And so they are basically there for the families who are now like, our patriarch or matriarch now has cancer and has to go undergo treatment. They can't work. That happens to the rest of the family. Right? And it's depressing times. They have to figure out financials. They have to figure out so much. And Gilda's Club, Kansas City, like they kind of help with that. The unfortunate part is they've been so focused on the mission that they haven't done a whole lot of promotions, and so like people don't know them like they know everybody else, even though they're touching, as high as 60% of those persons who do get diagnosed with cancer. And so I'm just really happy to see them, be able to make that transition and have great numbers still, and be able to really keep all of their families that they touch engaged. And so that's exciting. And then with
And you're on the board, right?
yeah. So I'm on the
Okay.
board.
We left that part out, so it felt a little rogue.
Oh yeah, so I'm on the board there. The other organization I'm on the board of is AltCap, and they've been really active in helping small businesses get those loans. We were able to successfully set up one of my babies was the what turned into a $5 million loan fund for businesses. We worked on that before PPP came out, so it ended up fortunately not being as important. But I think there's a lot that the civic community, the local governments can do to support small businesses. I'm glad that they care. For me, that's a win now, and I'm excited for AltCap as well for getting that, getting it as much traction as they are around building small businesses.
What's been a win at work too, Ezzy? You've had a lot of wins at work.
Yeah. If you're watching this, you know that Lillian James is making moves. We're like I said before, we actually changed to the new model. The day before? The day before everyone got quarantined, which was awesome. It was interesting times. But I mean, I think one of the things that's exciting is that people are going to have access to a lot of the functions of marketing, of like the big marketing firms, with top tier creatives, without having to pay $1,000 to $4,000 for a strategy meeting, right, or a miscellaneous meeting. Who knows what the meeting's about? And so I think providing those designers who were creative directors for Refinery 29 and Soul Cycle, and have worked on Chick-fil-A's sites, and Emmy nominated videographers, and just like award-winning copywriters and people like that, like making them available to small businesses, which hopefully that was a good decision, at pretty low rates, that are transparent, and posting on our site, our website, at the LillianJamesCreative.com site. For us, that feels like the right thing to do. It feels like a win because hopefully, like a lot of entrepreneurs don't understand why they're not converting, why they're not connecting with their customers, or why they're not viewed the same as this big company who makes a product that's inferior. Maybe they're 100% cognizant tribe blends, right? Shout out to hitting us with the tribe blends. But they don't know why, right? And the why thing is what drives me crazy. And I would get questions about that all the time, like with the entrepreneur groups I'd run. And a lot of times what it comes down to is the branding and the soul. So people are using what they see about the company as clues, a lot like we do body language when we meet someone, to figure out how legit or how high quality the product is or the service is.
And I'm in on you guys' new platform. So I have been using it. And the beauty of it is it's kind of like a Fiverr, but cohesive, right? So I was one of those entrepreneurs who just is like, I don't have money to spend on this. I'm just going to go to Fiverr and pay somebody. And so before I started working with them, it looked exactly like I did that. Like I paid a whole bunch of different people to work on different projects, and none of it was cohesive. None of it looked like it all went together. And so working with them during this downtime, I've actually had time to sit down and, pull it all together, which has been really nice. And I think that as small business owners, sometimes we're so busy working in our business that we don't have time to work on it. And so that's kind of been the beauty of this shutdown, is that I've had time to work on things that were on the list to do, but they just kind of get put on the list the next day. You're like, oh, I'll do that another day, and I'll do that another day, and I'll do that another day. And then March came, and another day was here.
Yeah, and to that point, the thing that you actually reminded me about is we did we just finished a $30,000 giveaway with different services from different service providers that entrepreneurs might need, like attorneys, CPAs, stuff like that, and marketing work. We also did another. We've been giving away an awful lot for being in such turbulent times.
Trying to get the tape.
We had like a $50K giveaway for nonprofits.
All right. Yeah, we're trying to get Chase level giveaways at some point. You guys, we've got a ton of people on here. Look, Christine, to your point, Shanita, gratitude attitude gets me through the pandemic. And then, I just love that Delvon is watching live, ready to hear great things from you. And I just love that these people are connecting and making networking connections. And Randy says, great show. All four of you keep making a difference.
Thanks.
All right, Scott, why don't you ask some questions? Because it's kind of funny. I know a couple of these people really well, and you know the other couple really well. Usually we either know all four, or because it's kind of fun today.
Yeah, no, actually, shout out to Miss Lemon and Miss Dehan for getting together. Miss Lemon has a show, great podcast. Also, Randy has a great show where he brings people together. So I always encourage folks to follow them as well. Shanita, I love you describing Lillian James. It's funny that friends sometimes can describe the business better than I know my friends can describe what I do better than I can. And so, Chase, I guess to that point, I want to segue. When you were evolving the concept of Charlie Hustle, did you ever have outside advice or influence where, kind of like Shanita just did for Ezzy and Aaron, where she described something and you're like, yes, that's what I want. And so what kind of outside advice did you get growing the company? I'm 33. I'm smack dab millennial. I mean, Charlie Hustle's the only thing myself and all of our friends wear. So I'm probably biased and drink the Kool-Aid too hard. But for those that are not familiar with it, was it lightning in a bottle, or how did everything kind of come together, and what outside advice did you get?
Well, I'm not going to stop you from drinking the Kool-Aid. Keep doing that. But for me, it was more on the business side. I think my background is creative too. I was actually just looking through the Lillian James website, and I hadn't seen it before. And that's awesome. I want to get involved there. But so let's talk. But
you saw
I think I think for me, it was, we're building this great brand. And the last 3 years is really building a great business. And I knew I was always entrepreneurial, still, doing a lot of different ventures and whatnot, but I needed business help. I had a lot of great mentors along the way, but I joined a Vistage group actually 4 years ago, kind of a group of CEOs that people you could just talk to, all different backgrounds, all different businesses, but all relative when it got down to the issues. And that, I don't even know if Charlie Hustle would be around without that group and that support, or at least at the level that it is. It's helped me really define a focus and understand, where we're actually trying to go and accomplish what we're trying to accomplish. So for me, that was a big step personally. But yeah, I think we have 27 employees now. That's crazy. We used to be in a little box with 4 of us that, could only hold 2 of us. So it's really cool to see the growth, but I've had a lot of people help me understand, that growth and how to get to those next phases. And it's not just about sell now. It's really creating some predictable success and, also making our mark in the community.
Shanita, and then I'll go to Andrew, then Ezzy. Shanita, I always make the joke about people always wanting to give advice. And my joke is, hey, if you serve spaghetti on Sundays, you'll kill it. And I use it as a metaphor. How do you handle as an entrepreneur knowing which advice to take and, which advice to implement in your business? I know it's really hard when everyone is a critic. So how do you figure out which voices to listen to and which ones to shut out?
Oh, gosh. So I am a spiritual person. My grandfather was a pastor. So a lot of times when someone is giving me advice, it lines up to where I intuitively know that I'm trying to go, but I don't know how to get there. And so through this whole COVID process, and even before then, I lost my dad in 2018. And that was kind of the evolution of my changing and shifting. And that threw me into advocacy. And I didn't even know that it was going to evolve that way. And then from there, it's just been trying to, I meet someone and then we connect and we're on an intuitive level. And then it puts me right to the right next step, to the right next person. And it all lines up. So I think it's a lot of intuition. You have to trust that yourself. So when you get advice, right, when someone's BSing, you're like, oh, okay, girl. That's how I hit that. Oh, okay, thanks. Because it doesn't really line up with where I'm trying to be. Like when I switched to working with Ezzy and Aaron at Lillian James, I knew where I wanted to go. I knew what I wanted my website to look like. I knew where I needed it to be. I just didn't know how to and so that initial conversation, they got it right away. And then it all just kind of fell into place. And even with working with the Urban League, I was like, hey, I have this food. You guys are in the 3rd district. The 3rd district is before I could even get it out, Miss Grant was like, yes, when? How do we do it? What do we need to do? Do we need a flyer? Boom, it was done. So it's those type of relationships where you meet people and then they just connect with where you're going and what you're doing. And you have to trust that. I think that's most entrepreneurs' main issue is that you don't trust yourself.
Yeah, I know. That's one of the hard things. And a little, to use a Gen Z quote, a little pro tip is I always found that all my partners are women. My business partner, Melissa Oliva, and we sit in countless business meetings. And the women's intuition is real. And women are just better than men. And so I think having good partners is a great way to read people. And I think it's a blind spot that men, for some reason, have more than women. Women just can say, that's a really good partner. And so, Andrew, a lot of people are bringing deals your way. And I know you have to have a thesis and you have to have parameters on what you decide to do and what you don't decide to do. early on in your career, how did you get good at knowing what you wanted to do and what you didn't want to do? Because it's so easy to spread yourself thin as an entrepreneur. How do you stay focused?
That's a great question. And it's funny you say stay focused, because so much of our mission, especially as a family office, when we look at investing, my dad was always taking the approach of, I don't want to eliminate anything. Send us everything. Let's look at everything, and then we'll figure out whether or not we want it. Man, how we found what the good deals are. And so in terms of real estate, well, let's focus on startup valuations. Our biggest thing when we're studying startups is, one, is there a problem? A lot of people meet that. But two, is the problem truly widespread? Some of these startups take such an acute focus. The reality, the scope of the business is so minute, it's tough to make money there. So that's one of the biggest things. The second thing will you pay for it? I think that's the unfortunate thing some of these startups run into, is we're so inventing so many cool things, but is there a path to monetization? There was a great book about the pyramid scheme of Silicon Valley. The angels breed it big enough for the VCs, who breed it big enough for the private equity companies, who breed it big enough for public markets. Nowhere along the way did anybody think about monetization. It was just get it big enough for the next guy to deal with the problem. And that's one thing we love, Kansas City Midwesterners. We are focused on monetizing our businesses, and we're focused on sustainability. That's why we love investing here versus the coast. People are down to earth, smart people focused on building good businesses rather than just building it to sell it. That's why we've been able to find success here.
Ezzy, for you, your network is all throughout Kansas City, kind of like Shanita was talking about her path of Wyandotte, Grandview, and Johnson County encompassing the 435 loop. You have a network that really encompasses the 435 loop. So for you, how do you figure out where you want to spend your time and how you want to monetize your time?
Yeah, man, I think that I tend to focus everything around adding value for the community. And that's just kind of who I am. So regardless of which communities it is, I tend to mainly focus on, is this something that's going to move the needle for a community? And, hopefully that's the cancer community, or hopefully that's, the entrepreneur small business community or whatever. But that's really kind of what drives me. I think that, impact is more important to me than making money at this stage. I think that might sound like kind of like a crazy thing to say, but I think there's also a confidence that if need be, I can make money. But right now there's a lot of people who need a lot more, and that will impact their lives significantly. So that's kind of where I draw my
I didn't know if it yeah, your microphone was like, oh, so you keep going.
So we didn't know what was on. We're just used to you talking longer.
Yeah, Ezzy, that's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to be like, what? Is he on mute? Is he on mute? But did anyone? By the way, Aaron, I don't want to give you too much credit, but that's brilliant. Did you think of 2020? The meme is you're on mute, or have you seen that before?
I wish I would have come up with that.
That's a good one.
But a part of my job is saying what's trending. So what's trending right now?
No big deal.
All right, I wrote down questions. I never do this, but I was thinking of questions that I want to ask. And just, I've never met Chase or Andrew before. So, hi, guys. I'm a lot. Are you ready? Okay. First of all, Chase, we have never met, but one of the things I've watched from my marketing seat, right, is that you guys were one of the first in Kansas City, at least, to really use influencer marketing. You were often a sponsor, as in we're going to give you a lot of T-shirts, and I don't know if there's monetization always behind it too, but to a lot of different of the bigger faces, rising stars throughout the years. Can you kind of talk about strategy behind, because I think now it's strategy for a lot of people, but you guys were ahead of it.
Sure. Well, I think a lot of that we learned, in 2013, we did a Kickstarter campaign actually with the Negro League Baseball Museum. So me and Bob Kendrick really worked together on that. And all Kickstarter is, all crowdfunding is really getting as many people as you can together prior to launching that to understand what you're trying to accomplish and put out there, and trying to get people on board ahead of time. It's kind of like, the Harry's razor or Dollar Shave. There's another company that did it really well, but it's just getting a group of people to understand what's going on. And I think when you look at our products, we have a lot of collegiate gear. We use a lot of students. It's crazy how many of that generation, how many followers these kids have, high school, college, and those are the people that are going to carry on your brand. So we really attached ourselves to them, and they're always happy to help. And but then you go in a little deeper. We've built a great network over the years. Right now, we have an interesting campaign that we're building through the Heart of KC Foundation. It's called 1kforkc.org. It actually launches mid-September, and it's there to help. We're trying to help with housing costs and rental costs for people that are struggling through COVID. So I was just sitting there. I was reading a story about a mom that had, $54 to her name. She had 3 kids, and she was asking her mom for help. Mom couldn't really help. There's a lot of people out there struggling with this. Whether you go into the BIPOC communities or you go into the hospitality workers, a lot of people are unemployed. And so I just thought, we have a great network to help here. So that's what we're doing. We're trying to get as many people to know about this campaign ahead of time. There's going to be some news coming out here in the coming weeks, but it's really attaching on the mayors getting involved. The sports teams are getting involved. So when you draw it back to influencer marketing, they're the ones that share the message. Everything's social, everything's digital nowadays. And that's what you got to do. And you find ways to make it easy for people to want to hop in and join what you're trying to accomplish. And I'm giving a little shout out to the 1K for KC project, but
where can people find that project?
So it launches September 15th. There will be some stuff coming out in September, but you can check it out at 1kforkc.org. It hasn't launched quite yet, but it's just, it's really fun for me because I take it back to that Kickstarter campaign with the NLBM, and that was so much fun. That was invigorating. We hit our goal in about 5 days because of the work we put in ahead of time. And I think that's a lot of what it is. It's about what you put in ahead of time. That's, the power of the group is going to be what helps you accomplish those goals. So
I just want to say too, real quick, Aaron, I like how each one of us has kind of used our small business to fill in some gaps where government is slow to act. We have been able to quickly get to the ground, and that's really what's going to help the under-resourced people make it through this pandemic is the small business who are able to actively, almost instantly, put resources in hand. So that's great. You guys making my Friday.
Was that Shanita? Did you say that the corporation should partner with small businesses to help get more done?
It would probably be faster.
That's going to tee me up for my question to Andrew. I was going to come to you, Shanita, but I'll come to you next because yours is more of a fun question. Andrew, I'm a lot. Are you ready?
Oh. All right. I don't get a fun one. All right.
Well, I mean, I think it'll be fun if you have an answer. Oh, sure. Here's the deal. You are an investor, right? And you're talking about who we invest in. And I think that it has become abundantly clear, if you weren't already paying attention during this pandemic, that minority-owned businesses, it's very hard to get invested in as minority-owned businesses and find the resources, even with the PPP that we were talking about earlier. How, as an investor, have you seen that maybe some of that is shifting so that it's not the same story 20 years from now? And what sort of things are y'all doing to assure that hopefully we don't have the same story in the future?
Yeah, I'd say what's interesting is I see Lauren Conway also being the most recent comment. What's up, Lauren? Before COVID shifted, my mom specifically had made a big point of, so I come from a family of entrepreneurs. Both my grandfathers started their own business. My dad, mine, my sister, my brother. The only brother that hasn't started his own business is in college. And we've already begun working on one. One of the things we've started to try and narrow in, and especially through PlexPod in our family office, is with my mom, is women-focused businesses and entrepreneurs. And so we'd already been targeting that and trying to make that specific. In fact, we ended up denying a couple investments that I really liked. And I thought it was interesting. I love the business environment. I love the thesis. I love the market strategy. But my mom took one look at their website and said, "There's not a single woman on their website in their executive team." No. It was really interesting. And so that really kind of woke me up to, okay, we need to make this a priority for underwriting as we're going through some of these things. So we already kind of started with that. We haven't started looking at that from minority focused yet, but obviously with the wave of things that are going on with this COVID stuff and the Black Lives Matter movement and everything else going on, it's becoming a growing criteria. The only unfortunate thing is we're just so busy with everything going on at Westport High School. We've shut everything down on new investments. But I tell you, when it opens back up after we get Westport High School figured out, I can guarantee you, and I tell you, every investor I talk to is making that, both women and minority, and sometimes a combination of the two, a focus on their criteria list. So if you are, in fact, I was just talking to Lula, who's an awesome startup in town yesterday, on their raise. I was just talking, if you've got women on the executive team, I'm not sure if they do or not, but it's a great company. Highlight them, highlight those minority people on your investment deck, because it's it's a criteria everyone's looking for. So yeah, it's definitely moving that direction. Hopefully counter that problem.
Good answer. See, it was a fun question.
Sorry, I went off on a tangent there, but yeah.
No, I loved it.
That's a great, that's a very important, I think it's a great question, and also really important for our listeners to learn and know about.
And actually, I've heard of your mom, but I just now put it together when because Lauren's talked about how amazing your mom is, and I just put that together right now. So, Shanita, one of the fun things we haven't talked about, because I guess it's a little bit in your past now, but you were a reality show winner. Can you talk about, look at Scott's face. Scott, we have another celebrity.
She was in a magazine with Chase's shirt. Now this?
She's a big deal, dude. Can you talk about that transition? Because I think people think sometimes when you win a reality show, it's all, glitz and glamour afterwards. And I've had a few friends in this space. Can you talk about kind of that experience, and then how you were able to transition that into entrepreneurship?
Okay, so I won Cutthroat Kitchen in 2014, I think 2014. So, and I talked about that in the recent INKC magazine. I'm going to be super frank. It didn't really impact my business here in Kansas City, because as a Black woman chef, they didn't pay any attention to the fact that I won, because another chef, male, for a big healthcare provider, also went on another show. While he did not win, he appeared. And so that at the same time decided to be the focus of the news, which it is what it is. I've learned that I've made myself more relevant outside of Kansas City, and then Kansas City comes back around to me after other people find out, and then they're like, "Oh, oops, she's here." So I've been here my whole life, but okay, nice to meet you all. So I mean, like Andrew, my dad was an entrepreneur. That's all I've ever known is hard work and making your own way. And so I just continue to do the same thing and use that work. It didn't help me locally, but it's helped me nationally, get other opportunities to cook in other states and do some traveling and meet some really amazing chefs to build that network with. And so, and yes, Lauren, I do cook online. on my Facebook with my daughter. She is the boss baby. She's the star of the show. She can make some very amazing scrambled eggs too, by the way. So she's learned she's learned a lot. So you just have to keep pushing forward, really.
Awesome. Yeah, her live shows are really good. So I watch them. I don't cook, but I watch them. So I'm not trying to cook them. All right,
Well,
Ezzy, we're going to wrap up with you. What?
I said we'll be expanding that in the fall since she and I are going to be homeschooling. That's going to be like our math home ec type situation. So it'll be fun to watch us during the school year.
We're doing more music video parody videos around here and calling it art. Yes, Scott.
After Ezzy, I do want to make a quick announcement for you and I. So I know you're going to wrap up on a question with Ezzy.
Yes. So Ezzy, one of the things we didn't touch on is you and your family do own restaurants during COVID. So can you talk about how, like, I guess just because we're such good friends and because we work together every day, I saw how quickly you guys you got very innovative with your restaurants and figuring out curbside service and stuff like that. Can you just talk about how that kind of, I think one of the hardest businesses to own during all of this has been a restaurant. Can you kind of just talk about what sort of, like, I guess, skill set it took to really go instead of panicking, go, okay, this is what we're going to do to make it, and how that has helped you guys actually grow? Because you guys just did a renovation and stuff.
Yeah. I tell people it's a lot like being the captain of a small ship during a large ocean storm, and you're in the middle of the storm. I think that it started with deciding if you're going to make it or not. We actually got a pretty sizable offer from the insurance company before everyone else started having stuff happen, and so we not only turned that down, but we committed to the staff that we were going to keep paying them, and that was right as I think revenues dropped down to pretty close to zero. Because people were afraid of everything. Like, they didn't know anything about the virus. They just knew that it spread quickly. And so, restaurants at that time were kind of on the blacklist. And we didn't want our people stressing out. We wanted to keep everyone and the families that they support. And so we quickly decided to transition. This is before PPP and all that stuff. That was just an idea at this point, and we actually doubted that it was ever going to happen. And so we just felt like we just had to figure it out. So we're fortunate to have a great community of people that supported us, and friends, the community, they really rallied, and that gave us enough, I think, confidence to really create traction among our legacy of customers throughout the years. I think Northland magazine called us, said that we have a cult following, which that was the first time I had heard that, but it's kind of funny to think about. We pretty quickly we're like, all right, so we need to get some money coming in. So if we found N99 masks, we bought them for super expensive, and we used them as a fundraiser, and that money allowed us to both help support the staff, but then it also helped us to give back to the people most under stress, the hospital workers, the other people working jobs like cashiering, in grocery stores, all of those people who are super stressed at the time too. And videos, which I forgot about. I'll drop those on social. Some of them would tear up on us when we brought them meals or brought them masks or did whatever. And then we did a lot of risky things to remind people how much they love us. Maybe we launched the smokeberry herb sauce, which was an upper respiratory immune boosting sauce. So at one point, I was one of the people who knew the most about the virus, because I'm reading every unpublished article submitted to every medical journal, and I'm like, hey, it looks like it attacks your upper respiratory immune system first. So if we can stop it there, then it doesn't make it to the lower respiratory system, which gets very difficult to fight. And so we did all these herbs and put them together into a sauce that really helps boost that upper respiratory immune system. and launched it. And it was a risk because we're a wing place, but we're gonna do like a healthy wing sauce. Like, are people gonna like that? How's that gonna work? Like, it could be the worst thing ever, and the ingredients were all super expensive at the time. Like this, root such and such, root such and such. I'm like, man, these are some expensive plants, but but it ended up working.
So they couldn't steal your recipe. I see what you did there. You guys did some amazing things. All right, we are backing up on time. Go get Wings Cafe. He hasn't said the name of it, so go get Wings Cafe. Thank you so much to our panel. We do have a couple announcements. Scott, you want to make yours?
Hey, Scott, real quick. I just got to interject here because we need a Wings Cafe T-shirt. I mean,
wow! Don't get Ezzy too excited, but it does have a cult following. It's really darn good.
I've been there. I know what it's like. So National Wing Day is July 29th. So I think there's a campaign there.
Know that?
I love it. That's awesome.
I'm pretty surprised he knows that, but it's right. He's right.
That's really good. We actually, Ezzy and I got in a little tiff last week just because we're like brother and sister at this point. And I just hear this knock on my door and he showed up with wings. And I was like, all right, it's fine. We're better. They're good.
That's great.
That's
All
awesome.
right.
So Aaron, if you want to highlight in the comments section, there's a gentleman named John Paquin. So so John's company is not the sponsor of Drinks with Leaders, and in September, one of the top 5 largest privately held banks in Kansas City is going to be a sponsor. It's not a bank that those would think of as a top 5 bank, and so that will be coming. And a show that was started to have friends get together and have rising tides raise all ships in Kansas City ended up being something where we can help each other grow each other's brands. And all 4 of you have amazing brands. One of our best shows we've ever had by far. And Aaron, you have something you want to mention?
So with the sponsor comes more things. We will actually be now going live to Facebook as well. So look for our new Facebook page that will be coming out with all our brand new branding. So we're going to be all over. So if you have guests you would like to see, or if you want the reminders that we're going live, just text us Drinks with Leaders 913-298-8790. We will remind you weekly when we go live. We please ask you to share if you found value out of this. Reach out to people if you feel like, you need a new shirt, you need a new chef, you need wings, you need to, don't reach out if everybody reaches out for an investor. If you need an investor, as I email.
Or if you need office space, come check us out at FlexPod.
Yes, and FlexPod is amazing. So, yes, if you need office space, we'll go with that one. I was trying to do that right and not make you mad at the same time. We really appreciate you coming here and spending your afternoon with us, and we will see you again next week. We have a great panel. Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much, panel.